Hi, and welcome to another book chat with Julie. This is my coworker Harrison. I don't think he's going to stay up there with me. Anyway, I'm Julie from the Argenta Branch Library in North Little Rock, Arkansas, and we are part of the Laman Library system. Finding your story. This summer, our summer reading program is all online. Adults, children, everybody can go to the lamanlibrary.org website, and you can track your books, your book reading, and just find out a little bit more about the Laman Library system, including the Argenta branch. But finding your story at Laman is our theme for the summer. So what is your story? If you put out things on a table, like I just did, and you looked around, would people kind of know what your story is? I have Harrison, the love of my life, who was just on my lap. That's my poodle. And yes, he is my dog and my love. My other loves are, I have Mark, my husband. I have two sons, Noah and Jacob, and Noah is married to the beautiful Rachel, my newly daughter-in-law. I grew up in St. Louis, so you know that I'm a huge Cardinals fan. I'm a huge Blues hockey fan, which is very rare around Arkansas. And, of course, around Arkansas, I'm a huge Mizzou fan. I raised my boys to be Mizzou fans, and we cheer on the Tigers no matter what. And I think Arkansas people should know that too, that you cheer on the Hogs no matter what. But all joking aside, I am from St. Louis, and one of the questions that if you met somebody from St. Louis, the first thing somebody's going to ask is, where'd you go to high school? That's a common question around St. Louis. Well, I graduated from Webster Groves High School, hence Harrison's name is Harrison Webster. Class of 1983. That kind of dates me a little bit. And a huge part of my story is my faith, which I have my Bible there. And that makes up my story. So what is your story? When thinking about either writing your story or reading your story, what would you say? What would you put down? So I looked up a few of some of my favorites, and I know every episode I say they're my favorites because most everything is my favorite once I learn to read it or like it or I've met them or whatever. Everybody, because if I met you, you'd become my favorite. So I do have lots of favorites. So two of the authors that I would like to introduce to you, these are nonfiction books. And Steve Pemberton, I read his book almost probably 10 years ago. I'm starting my 11th year at the library, and his book came out just right after I started. And it was a very inspirational read. Steve Pemberton, he grew up an orphan boy, a mysterious past, and how he found a place to call home is what his book is about. He grew up in and out of foster care, many being very horrid conditions. He was a fair-complected boy with blue eyes and a curly afro and a Polish last name. Steve is determined to unravel the mystery of his life and to find his birth family. A Chance in This World is an unbelievably true story of a wounded and broken boy destined to become a man of resilience. Steve's story teaches us that no matter how broken our past, we have in us to create a new beginning and to build a place where love awaits. Steve became the first divisional VP and chief diversity officer for Walgreens, the first person to hold that responsibility in the company's 110 plus years of history. My favorite quote from the book, and I use it often: "We aren't measured by what happens to us, but by rather how we respond to it." So I kind of picked this book back up during the last couple months, just also to remember that quote, because we can't control what's happening right now, but we can control how we respond to it. So I hope that you will pick this up by Steve Pemberton, A Chance in This World. It's available on Hoopla and Libby. It's also available in the library, as is everything that I'm going to show you today. Another great nonfiction that has a lot of meaning too is Robin Roberts from Good Morning America. She's one of my favorites, and I've followed her for a long time, even before she was on Good Morning America. She has a strong story. She has a strong story of family. She has a strong story of overcoming, and a strong story of just being humble and grateful. My Story, My Song is actually written by her mother, Lucy Marion Roberts. Robin also has many other books herself, and one of those being Everybody's Got Something. And both of those are good reads, inspirational reads. The title alone, Everybody's Got Something, is just true in itself. And one of the quotes that Miss Lucy Marion always says, and Robin has continued that quote many, many times during her interviews, during her own life, and it's something that I have kind of adopted myself, is make your mess your message. And again, that's true too. It's not about what's happening in the world, but it's about how you respond to it. Maybe during these last couple of months, you've thought about your story. You've been at home. You've been at home with kids that you normally aren't with all day long. You're maybe even with family members that you're not with, that many days in a row. Maybe they were there for a visit and then they had to stay. Or maybe you went somewhere and you had to stay for a while. And so creating your new story in this new normal. Jerusalem Jackson Greer is a friend to many, has 2 books that I'd like to share. These have ideas and wonderful activities and recipes to help you find your story. A Homemade Year, the blessing of cooking, crafting, and coming together. And At Home in This Life, finding peace at the crossroads of unraveled dreams and beautiful surprises. Both are available at the Argenta Branch Library. So if you have young kids at home, especially young grandkids that you have in the home, and you're like, we need to start some traditions, this Homemade Year is a really good one. It goes through different holidays, things that you could adopt to your traditions, new traditions, to be able to share with your kids, your grandkids, and your family. So thinking of stories, I'm now going to switch over to fiction. And Phaedra Patrick is another great author of Following a Story. The Curious Charms of Arthur Pepper. Arthur's wife has passed away, and he and Miriam lived a very simple life. The same routine every day. Same tea, same khaki pants, same sweater, everything was the same. And it's been 1 year since Miriam passed away. Sorting through her things, he finds a charm bracelet that he didn't give her. The charm bracelet takes Arthur on a journey of hope, healing, and self-discoveries. So, The Curious Charms of Arthur Pepper. Phaedra Patrick also wrote another book called The Library of Lost and Found. The librarian, Martha Storm, has always found it easier to connect with books than with people. All that changes when a book of fairy tales arrives on her doorstep. Martha finds a dedication written to her from her best friend, her grandmother, Zelda, who died under mysterious circumstances years earlier. Martha discovers a clue inside the book. The Library of Lost and Found is a heartwarming tale of how one woman must take control of her destiny and write her own happy ending. So that's Phaedra Patrick as well, The Library of Lost and Found. These are great book club books. If you have a book club and you need a book to share with the book club, they're fast, easy reads, but there's a lot of discovery in them. They're both available on Hoopla and Libby as well, and they're available in the library. A new author to me, I guess he has been around for a while, but Viola Shipman is actually the pen name for Wade Rouse. Viola Shipman was his grandmother, and all of his books are stories from her and from their family stories that inspired him to write. The charm bracelet, another similarity, is the charm bracelet, and each charm has meaning. I don't know how many of you had a charm bracelet. I did, and everywhere we traveled, we would pick up a charm. Also had a spoon collection. Everywhere we would go, I would pick up a spoon from that state or that country or anywhere that we would travel. My grandmother collected the spoons and the charms a lot for me. She did a lot of international travel, so I was fortunate to get some precious charms and spoons from her. So the charm bracelet, the hope chest, and the recipe box, I've got those featured down there. Those are all available Hoopla, Libby, and in the library. And Wade does a great job with the Viola Shipman name. That's his pen name, his grandmother, and just going back through a lot of their family history and precious memories. So what family memories would you write about? I hope that you enjoy these books, and the nonfiction and the fiction, and maybe you'll find your story at Laman Library. We are now offering curbside service at both locations, the Laman Library and the Argenta Library. You can call either branch. They'll help you pull the books that you would like, put them on hold, and when your hold is ready, then you'll get a phone call telling you the details of how to come pick them up and what your appointment time to come pick them up. I'm at the Argenta branch, and I'm there every afternoon. If you would like to call me at the Argenta branch, the number is listed below, and I'll help you find your story. I'll help you find some books. You can always go to lamanlibrary.org and go to the card catalog, and you can put yourself on hold. It'll ask you which branch you want to pick them up. Both branches are offering curbside service. You can't come in the library yet, but I will certainly be happy to search the shelves for you to help you find your story for this summer at Argenta Branch Library. And thank you for joining me for another episode of Book Chat with Julie.